Welcome to the Oracle of Enlightenment Vortex. This is the observer, Sal Monaco, here, along with my co-host, Ann Burka. How are you, Ann?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Pretty good. And joining us today for the first time in a while, Queen Awesome, Amanda Gorin. And Dave the Hitman Horbinski.
Yep.
Yep, you were up a minute ago.
Okay.
We'll bring him up. There he is.
Right.
Okay. And bring up your sister. Okay. And joining us for the first time is the very lovely Miss Stacy Vandervoort. How are you, Stacy?
I'm good, thank you.
Yes. She's actually brave enough to be my girlfriend. And everyone here is saying...
In about a month, I'll send you the Medal of Honor.
Okay.
Only a month? Okay.
A month leads to a year with you.
I'm sweet and innocent.
Uh-huh.
I've heard that several times, and I don't believe you.
No.
Okay.
You're more sweet.
Dave tries to pull it off too, and no, he's neither one of those either.
And joining us today for the first time in a long while, two very good friends of ours from Toronto who have made it big in mainstream media and had the dream of every fan. Ladies and gentlemen, Martin Hunger and Christina Carr.
Yo!
Hey, everyone.
CarrHunger Creative. How you doing, guys?
Yeah. They insisted we put something on the end of CarrHunger. They weren't... the government wouldn't let us, yeah.
Name, right? So
we weren't allowed to just have the name. We tried to name the company 1,000 names, but, they were all taken. All the cool ones were taken, so.
So we figured her last name, my last name.
No one else will have it.
Little chance anyone else has it, yeah.
And no one did.
I'm sending out the...
Comment from Mick. He said Sal is never innocent.
Why does Mick always seem to show up during a show?
He tells it like it is.
Yeah, Dave. Okay. So, before we get started...
He hasn't changed one bit.
Nope.
Yeah. All right. I'm spreading the...
Spreading the wealth?
Yeah.
Spreading the love.
On everyone's... the show is being posted on everyone's wall. So before we get started with...
Is that wallpaper or wood panel?
Before we get started with Martin and Christina, we have to...
Or just plain color?
Talk about... I keep hitting the wrong button. Yeah, as usual, folks, we're testing some new equipment. All right, Dave, tell everyone about... Frightworld. Thank you.
You can do it, Sal.
Tell everybody about Frightworld.
Well, all right. I'll describe Frightworld. It was 5 haunted houses. We go to this every year, and it's part of our 2024 Halloween Dork Tour.
Will you please stop saying that?
No.
All right.
And
go ahead.
the houses were Night Stalkers, Carnival Boneyard, Insanity, Erie State Asylum, and the Grindhouse. Mm-hmm. And I would say some houses were better than others. My most favorite one of the bunch was Carnival Boneyard, actually. I really enjoyed that a lot. They're really crazy clowns in that one. It was really good. I was very impressed with that. And the vortex, it made you feel like you were spinning around and you really wasn't. Mm-hmm. That effect was awesome. Insanity was good. I liked the chain linked maze that we had to go through in that one, with the strobe lights and the smoke. Sometimes you get lost in there, and then the scarers were in there, trying to block your way. No, you got to go this way, and they would lead you down a wrong path, and they laugh. That was the whole point. Grindhouse, I really enjoyed that one, and that was the one with the two gentleman that, oh no, it was a female this time actually, and that one that had the chainsaw. There were 2 people in there that had chainsaws, one male, one female.
And that's never happened before.
No.
In any haunted house
Nope.
we've ever visited.
That was the lady, the female that.
Yes.
She's
Yeah, scared out our friend
She's
Sherry.
scary. She's good.
Oh, she was fantastic. She is the perfect person to bring to these haunted houses if you want to get a good laugh. Then Erie State Asylum was fantastic. I was trying to find a room for Amanda over here,
Okay.
but no takers. They would say, no, she's too crazy for us, so they kicked her out. And then the least favorite one, I thought it was Night Stalkers. I found it kind of boring, going through there. That was I don't know. It seemed like an attic feel to it, but it really wasn't too scary. I thought that was the least scariest. I think that probably the ones that got me quite a few times was the Grindhouse, and I would say in Erie State Asylum and Carnival Boneyard, probably in those top 3 for me. I really enjoyed it. It was fantastic. The attendance was always fantastic at these events. We were right there a little bit after 6:30, so once it got going, I'm telling you, it filled up really quick. I mean, there was people in costumes out in the hallways or out in the main vestibule area, terrifying people, and then posing for pictures. I thought it was really well done.
Mm-hmm. No, there wasn't a room for me, Mick. Thank you. I only got scared and ran out because they took us by surprise.
Oh yeah, Mick. There was one. I think it was in what was it? Night Stalkers. Sal always gets terrified by this one part in that one spot is where a raccoon would pop out of a bush and spray with cold water.
I don't like that, and I don't like snakes.
It got Sal again. I could hear him going, "Yeah."
All right,
so
that'll do. Amanda, you want to give us your review?
Oh, I had a really good time as always. It's a good tradition. I didn't go last year, but just took a year off. Like Dave, my favorite house was the Carnival Boneyard.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a love-hate relationship with Insanity because it's like the simplest of the houses, but it's really effective. But it's like the maze, and it just drives me crazy trying to get through it. It's all the smoke,
the strobe lights.
The strobe lights.
That was a little.
It started bothering me a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Why, it annoys me. Just I know, this year we got it through pretty quickly, but other years we're just wandering, going crazy.
Strobe lights were extra this year.
But
and
I like that. It's definitely simpler than the other houses because I like one thing I like about Frightworld is their attention to detail. There's so many just things part of the design
they're
of the houses.
like pop out scares.
Yeah.
They're really
Just
infamous for that.
The set design. There's so many details if you pay attention to all the design. It's just I don't know if how much of they change every year, but you could go through multiple times and notice different things.
Yes.
It's so detailed. And they definitely know how to work the elements, the strobes, and the actors work those elements to create surprises and to when it's dark and then when it lights up again, they'll pop out right there.
Yep.
And just the different
I'll give sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
They really tap into all senses.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate that.
Yes. Yeah, this year the scarers inside the houses did a fantastic job.
Yes, they did.
I say they really knew what they were doing, and it didn't seem like they were coaxed or coached. on how to do it. They just knew how to react
I agree.
to the circumstance that presented itself.
And I love the atmosphere in Frightworld. I mean,
Yeah.
they have the concession stand. They have the TV running, the big TV running, like The Walking Dead and other stuff, and the guys walking around the places where you can take pictures. There was the wheel for prizes when you left. I mean, it was just, and like Dave said, some houses were better than others, but they all had something good. So
Yeah.
I like they
Yeah.
don't like do the same kind of scare over and over
Yeah.
and over. Like it's different animals, like different things moving around and the actors moving around. And
yeah, and we're gonna be heading back in November for the
We're having
total
our own
blackout.
haunted house here, you know.
Uh-oh.
That sounds good.
Someday we'll have our own haunted house again,
if you like
Chris.
haunted houses, Frightworld's the place to go.
Yes, everyone. It'll be going till early November. So Fright World is the like Amanda said is the place
And
to go.
one thing about Frightworld is compared to other haunted houses I've been at least with Frightworld, it feels like you're part of a family.
Yes,
Yeah,
and they
but
always treat us.
They
good.
always treat us with respect.
Yes,
and
they're wonderful people.
And other people are just in it for the money.
Yeah.
And they leave respect at the door.
Yes, and that's a shame.
Attention to detail, you know.
Yep.
Yep.
Very detailed.
Well, that's why
Some
they've been
other-
around for so many years,
And that's why they're rated as one of the top haunted houses in the area.
and one of the surviving ones. Almost
Yes.
all the others have died.
How old has Frightworld been around?
I don't know. I think it could be like 20 years. I think
Yeah, well,
we've been with them the whole time. So,
yeah.
yeah.
It has been fantastic, a good run. And that's one of the things I look forward to every time around this time of year, the Halloween door tour, and they're number one on my stop.
There's nothing worse than like somebody half-assing
Yeah, exactly.
their houses. It's like just slapping something together. I'm like, okay, whatever. And then having somebody just jump around a corner and go boom.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
They're
Right.
engaging.
Yeah.
That's another thing that I'm really impressed with. Some
Right.
other houses is just they're just blah, just boo. Like you said, boo. And it was like, what's boo?
Yeah, and we're
I
gonna
mean,
be,
show some emotion in what you're doing.
and we love their escape rooms over on
Yes.
Young Street.
Yep.
Yeah, in Tonawanda.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Same attention to detail at the escape room.
Oh yeah, especially the Niagara Falls one. All right, Amanda, give us a quick review of the Pumpkin Farm, Great Pumpkin Farm.
It was good as always.
Mhm.
Definitely a fall classic.
Mhm.
You can go and get your pumpkins, apple cider, fall treats. We always love going through the Boo Barn.
Yep.
And it's kind of childish, but it has nostalgia.
Mhm.
Always love the hayride.
Right.
And the train was, I don't know if I've done the train before.
Yeah, the train was fun.
That was fun.
Stacy, what'd you think?
Thought it was fun. It was my first time there, and which is kind of funny because I lived up that way for 5 years.
Well, there's always a first for everybody.
There is. And it was just a lot of fun. It was a lot of childhood things and just brought back a lot of Halloween.
You did your first walk through the hay maze.
Yes. And rode the train
Mhm.
and thought that was fun.
And of course, we saw the magic show as always.
Yes, the magic show was wonderful.
Mike Barron, our old friend.
He had me guessing as to how he was doing stuff.
Yeah, well, Stacy's first trip through the maze and the other videos we shot there will be coming soon on our new Patreon channel. And
I'm not gonna be on
stuff on
Patreon.
YouTube. So wait for that. Now we're gonna save the reviews of the film festival for another time, because I want to get right to Martin and Christina. But Stacy wants to review at least one movie that she loved.
I actually liked Ragdoll Assassin. Sal has to refresh my memory of who created that, but it was very
Kurt
creative.
and Heather. Kurt
Yep.
Lehner and Heather.
It was very creative.
I mean, said the name wrong. Sorry. Go ahead.
Very creative. Had me laughing. And I loved the director / creator of the movie as like the head mafia guy. And it was just very kind of hit home a little bit too, being that I was always taught to keep my mouth shut. And she's how she was raised, and she found her voice again in the movie. So it was very hit home.
It's Kurt Markham and his soon-to-be wife, Heather, who is also going to be joining Beyond the Mainstream pretty soon.
And Heather did the voice of the doll.
Yeah.
The doll became alive because the way the movie ran was the lead actress was shot in the head, and part of her brains got like exposed.
Hey, no spoilers.
Okay, well, the doll became alive,
Yeah.
and the doll had her own attitude and personality.
Oh, boy.
What is their past expiration date?
She's right. It was an amazing film. I didn't expect
was.
it to be that kind of story, and it was just really, really good.
Yeah.
Kurt and Heather did an amazing job. And Stacy and I also sat through a Bollywood remake of Nightmare on Elm Street,
Oh, wow,
complete
interesting.
with musical numbers that had absolutely nothing to do with the plot.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, ladies and gentlemen, Martin Hunger. What? Yeah, Martin Hunger and Christina Carr, everyone.
Yay!
Hey, guys.
Our celebrity friends. Now, what I think is amazing is that, as we were discussing earlier, they started out maintaining a model of a Star Trek bridge that Dave and I played on at conventions, and then a few years later, they were working on the actual bridges for the Star Trek movies. Now, what was that like?
Well, first of all, career for me started at 8 years old as a kid reporter.
Mm-hmm.
And
True,
Martin
yeah.
started in high school as a theater lighting technician.
Lighting and sets.
Okay.
So that kind of tied in with our fanish interests and that sort of thing is how we got involved in the Trek conventions. We were actually doing Doctor Who stuff long before we actually got into the Trek conventions.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember your TARDIS. It was great.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
built
we had
that.
But that had no support. All
No.
the Star Trek stuff, we'd already started working for Paramount
Mhm.
and already had certifications, and we're doing a lot of theater, independent film, a lot of anything. Like, I mean, we did everything from background work to special skills to whatever. And the bridge was originally built in 1976, that particular bridge.
Mhm.
And it was on the upper floor of Mr. Gameway's Ark in downtown Toronto.
Mhm.
There was a fire, and the original crew, only some of them had the skills to be able to rescue it a bit, but they didn't really rescue it up to what was considered modern codes. And that's when they brought Martin and I in. We went in with a friend of ours who is responsible for sets for what's the Brantford Theatre again?
Sanderson Center
Sanderson
in
Center.
Brantford, Ontario. Yeah.
So he came in and
He inspected it all and he signed off. Basically, gave a checklist of these are all the things that need to be done to it to make it safe to be set up, safe to be plugged in for lighting and electronics and everything, and safe to actually have somebody standing on this set without fear of it being damaged. So it would allow the fire marshal and the electrical inspectors, the hotel staff, to say, okay, yeah, we can sign off on this and let it be at the convention.
So the convention basically bought the bridge in order to keep it alive and brought us in, and we got a team of about 5 to 10 people, depending on what day. There were days and where we had just a whole bunch of people in. We were saying, like, touch up that paint job or whatever. But
Here's some of these lights,
yeah. Well, they had fixed the soldering. This shows you why it wasn't up to par. They had fixed the soldering using plumbing solder, which was eating through the wiring system.
Ooh.
It was just eating it. So we started by desoldering all these old lights because they were just like soldering right to it, right?
Hundreds and hundreds of light bulbs.
And it was getting to a point where we were all getting sick.
Oh.
Wow.
And it was like because of fumes
Yeah.
from that much plumber solder.
Yeah.
And you sit 5
Way
or 6
worse than electronic
volunteers,
solder.
everyone with their own soldering gun in
Oh,
one
my
area to try to
goodness.
solder.
Oh.
We were just no.
No.
Yeah, we ended up really having to ventilate the space that we were working in for that.
So we rescued as many as we could and put them on the primary panels. Took the original boards that they had the old lights attached to and made styrene boxes. So what happened is one light can now take the place of about 4 or 5. because it was now in a little box. Each section was in a little box.
Mhm.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and then the white styrene becomes reflective.
Okay.
This way, we could get more accurate to the to the screen panels that you see on the bridge in the original series.
And we
not
didn't have
just
to
have
kill
a bunch
everyone
of
with plumber
sort of-
saws now.
Yeah.
Great.
Lights
That's a
behind it.
bonus.
Yeah.
Right?
So we cut the lights in half in order to be able to survive the ordeal.
And there were still about 2,000 by the end of it. 2,000 lights.
Wow.
Wow.
That's a,
Because it was originally designed to be a permanent set on the top of Gameway's Arc, it wasn't meant to travel. It wasn't meant to be taken apart and set up and tear down. And what they were doing with it is they had taken the burnt frame pieces and they had dipped it in wood glue
wow.
Seal. Right.
to seal it. And it was like, no wonder the fire department is looking at this thing going, you can't set it up.
Mhm.
And they were taking, 12 hours, 8 to 12 hours to set it up?
Yeah. Usually a minimum of 12 hours because they would take it apart. Every single flat piece was taken apart and packaged.
So screw holes
separately.
getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And
Yeah.
So we made it
So-
modular. So you'd have a console and it plugs into the console next to it and bolts together and plugs in, and took about 4 hours to set the whole thing up the way we designed it.
so basically it was like moving a bunch of video games into place
Very
and then
nice.
hooking them together. So we were able to completely save the front. The original plexi was fine, like the smoked plexi and everything in the front. The upper panels, like everything that was visually up front was fine.
Mm-hmm.
We did a little touch up here and there. Elizabeth Pierce, who was the woman who had it built originally, she had passed away and her paintings went missing. So we think someone from the old crew said, no,
They
This
wanted
is-
to keep the paintings for themselves.
so we had a local artist look at photographs of it and redo the paintings for the monitors up top.
Oh,
Very
wow.
nice.
And then we put large locks on the wheels and coffin locks to each section of the floor to put it together. It was all now coffin locked as opposed to just being screwed together, which puts a lot of stress on it, constantly
Okay.
screwing and unscrewing.
Yeah.
So we got the massive coffin locks you see on stage.
Stage flats. stuff
stage
like that,
flats.
right? Stage risers.
So we attached it together that way.
Actually, we dispensed with the wheels completely.
That's right. We did take the wheels off
Yeah.
because we didn't need to.
Yeah, we didn't need wheels.
They were unsafe.
Very nice.
So we took the wheels. I don't know why they put wheels on it. And then we practically had to rebuild the chair from scratch. We had to return it to its original paint job because they painted it black, everything black and gray when
Yeah.
Elizabeth died,
Yeah.
which was just no. They thought they were respecting her, but in my mind, you
Yeah.
weren't.
They also wanted. They wanted to turn it more into a battleship class than an exploration vessel, right? So
Mm.
brightened it up back to more
back to the
original
original
colors.
colors.
Yeah.
And then, because we wanted everything to blink and run and we wanted to be able to program it, we were donated a Commodore 64
I used to have one of those.
Yep.
with a tape drive. Well, even better,
Oh, my
right?
goodness.
With a tape drive. And went through all our old high school notes as to how to program these things.
Yep.
So every morning we got up and turned on the bridge and loaded the tape drive into the old Commodore, and it controlled the whole lighting system.
Wow.
We were able to change speed. We were able to change the sequence of the lights on the bridge. We were able to get the entire bridge to flash all at once, like a red alert kind of thing.
Wow.
And yeah,
Very nice.
And, and by then the Apple LC2 was already out. The technology had advanced so much, we got everything for free. So it was just a matter of trying to remember what we were taught in school. And then the monitors had VHS machines behind them.
Oh wow.
graphics on a couple of the screens. And
We
that's
actually
yeah.
set up a VHS camera to record graphics that took us forever to convince our LC2 to do. But basically, we filmed the screen of the computer
Oh.
So we
okay.
created rotating graphics and the spiral that you get, and you see in the classic
Well, actually,
series.
the Spock screen there, that moire pattern, was actually original moire, kind of two overlapping discs that rotated to create that sort of swirl pattern that you got.
And then to top it off, we got the certification. We actually got the fire department in when we set it up the first time, in Toronto Track as a refurbished bridge. And 5 months of work and dedication. And then we got the certification for the power.
Yep.
We got the certification for the frame.
Yep.
And then we had Paramount in, because at the time we were working for Paramount. So it was easy to get their rep in and have him go over it as well. To make sure Paramount agreed and was okay with it. So, yeah, it was massive. It was a massive project to do.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, we had our own careers and we're working on other productions and
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I visited Martin's workshop one time, and he was showing me the $70,000 car that they used
that was him.
for what
That
was
was
it?
him. He
Jam-
did not own the
Jam
workshop.
Productions. I was one of the builders in that shop, so yeah.
Yeah.
To clarify.
The car was for Total Recall 2070, right?
Yeah, for the TV
Yeah.
series. Yeah.
Yeah, the TV series.
Nice.
Two full size remote control cars. They were used as the police cars on the show, so they were fully electric. They were among the first electric vehicles ever made, perhaps.
Yeah.
We took old Toyota
though.
Tercels and ripped the engines out of them and put in a big electric motor to drive them. Yeah, they were fully radio controlled, so you could drive and steer this thing around set like an RC car, but it's full size, 1,500-pound machine.
Oh,
It was great.
So yeah.
I will never forget when they said, okay, we can't have you guys in to drive it because you're not transportation. Transport wants everything associated with vehicles.
Different department, right? If it's got wheels, they have to be in charge of it. no
And
matter
we're
whether it's a
like,
prop.
okay, well, they have to learn how to drive it.
Mm-hmm.
So Martin and I were also working for the Science Center at that time, and we went in to do, that was when FX The Series was doing a whole week of effects at the Science Center. And we had done like ridges and horns and stuff for the kids, and so we can make them into dinosaurs and Bajorans and whatever. And we just done a very long, exhausting day because children do exhaust you. And we get the, cause no cell phone yet, right? We get one of the reps from the Science Center comes up to us and says, "Your boss from the shop is on the phone." So Martin goes off while I'm still cleaning everything up to go. And he comes back and he says, "We've got to go to set right now." And I'm like, "Why?"
Finish wrapping up. We gotta go. We're gonna meet the boss at the set.
The transport guys were rehearsing. They were practicing controlling these cars. And they had one outside. And they were driving behind it, and they were like, "Okay, yeah, this is just like a toy car, no big deal." They turned it around to come back at them, and they forgot now left is right, right is left.
Oh.
They wedged it under a transport truck.
No.
And I remember Martin hearing it on his radio.
Yeah, it completely shattered the front end of it because it's all fiberglass, So the mold, the crew in the shop was already making replacement parts, molding replacement parts, getting them painted. We had to run up there and repair what we could and remove broken pieces, replace them with the new pieces.
And then walk up to the transport guys and go,
No, don't do that again.
Yeah, that same day, you also showed me a prop that you made for one of the movies, and I always forget the name of it. It was a ray gun made out of chicken wing bones.
"Oh, existence."
Oh my God, we were just talking about that
earlier today with the
for,
turkey bites, yeah.
for the movie Existence, David Cronenberg film. And
Weird.
very, very trippy. Cronenberg, right? So, but yeah, that was among many other very weird kind of organic, creepy props that were made for that show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The phones, the pink phones.
The pink phone, yeah.
Those
There
were
was this little weird looked like an ear, but it was made out of clear silicone, and we had to cut it open, put little red light bulbs inside it, so it would glow pink.
that when you squeezed on it, it would glow. And then we had to seal it up because the actors started squeezing it in a different direction, so the little slit kept opening up.
Yeah. Or the wires
they're like-
inside would break because it's being squeezed too much.
Yeah.
Right? So
And they're like, "Why isn't this working anymore?"
Mhm.
You gave everyone a design that technically does not work very well at this time.
yeah, could have been done a lot better nowadays.
Well, this is it. Like, I mean,
I think we made about 30 of them too,
Yeah.
just for one scene.
yeah, but they were fun to throw around the shop.
They were too. So
It was a video game movie, I
Boing, boing,
think.
boing, boing.
Wasn't it a video game movie?
it was, yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of the kind of video game where you're plugging into a port in the back of your neck to go into a full immersive, VR experience, like
It was
actually
weird.
connected into your brainstem. It's like Cronenberg, right? So
But
All
I mean,
right.
back then too, we had a lot of limitations,
Mhm.
in doing things, and it was really easy to say to someone, a fan or whatever, here's how you replicate it at home without spending the huge budget.
Mhm.
But I mean, you can see, like, I mean, we only have a few pieces because people don't usually get to keep what they make.
Yeah.
That's not a normal thing. But this is Earth Final Conflict,
Oh, I love that show.
right?
I toured the set. I remember.
These were a lot of Western switches because there's the closed version. It's cheaper to do a Western switch, but back then backlighting,
yeah, this was completely dead.
we
We
will
can't
never.
even get the batteries for it anymore. Those batteries don't exist anymore.
Okay, so that was backlighting back then. Those
Little-
lighting panels,
Little panel of electrode.
Oh.
right?
Mm.
Nowadays this would be LED,
Mhm.
Yep.
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And the only thing we could figure out to fit in the tiny little spot that we had that had enough power, because this required much
Had to
more
be
power than
super thin and
LEDs did,
flat, right?
right? Were camera batteries.
Oh.
This is a specific battery off of a
I don't even remember what
I don't
camera
know. Yeah, it was like
a
a Kodak camera. So you can't even find these things anymore. This will never work again unless we modified it. And as you can see, there's really not any room to modify,
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
right? So back then, I think the biggest challenge when it came to creating things was you're creating small things because it's supposed to be the future or an alien species with large technology.
Yeah.
And that was always that was always the biggest time consumer was that kind of thing.
Well,
And yeah, we'd have to put a neutralizing. Did it the wrong way.
also too at that time of era too is you can actually work with what you had in the way of technology
Oh yeah.
as
these-
compared to technology today.
And these were all scratch built, hand built models back then.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Now a lot of this stuff is 3D printed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, yeah.
3D printed, designed in CAD software,
Yeah.
machined.
See, and now that we've left mainstream industry, because after this many years, people do break down, and especially if they don't stop and they do 1,000 other things on the side. We discovered that we were technically running away from real life. We had a great time doing it,
Yay.
but eventually your body goes,
Yeah.
20 hours on set for 8 days straight, 20 hours
Yeah.
a day.
There
That's
there
a
was
lot.
a period where I think I worked 35 days straight without a day off.
Oh my
Wow.
lord.
Like 16-hour on-set days.
Oh.
Oh, and there was the big hit. We
Yeah.
were in that studio getting that miniature of the side of the building up.
Mhm.
We were there for you clocked 28 that day, and I clocked 26.
Yeah. In other words, we rolled over into the next day without a break.
Wow.
Wow.
Little 15-minute like breathers here and
Yeah.
there, breaks here and there to recharge.
And all because they
Yeah.
forgot one shot,
Yeah.
Wow.
Jeez.
and they couldn't go back to the building because they'd already booked the building and everything. And it's just the shot of the explosion and the guy jumping out of the window. And
Rather than doing it as a digital effect, they wanted to do it as an actual, practical model. So we had to build a quarter scale version of the hotel, the side of the hotel, and blow up one of the suites in the hotel.
Over
into the,
and over and over.
We
Wow.
did it about 6 times. Blow it up, rebuild it, blow it up, rebuild it.
We had a little assembly line. We had like a mold for that section of the building with the window.
The brickwork. The
So
window.
one person's pouring it, putting a little too much catalyst in it. It's fine if it goes brittle because we're only going to blow it up anyway. So flipping it over, handing it to the painter, painter quickly painting the bricks with the exact same colors to make it look like brick, handing it over to the seamster or seamstress, and they put the the blinds and the windows and the curtains in, and then you hand it over to the guy who's going to install it. He sits and waits until everything's cleaned up. He goes up there on the lift, he puts it in, he glues it in, comes back down, the effects guy goes up, the explosion's behind it, because you can't have both of them up there at the same time for safety's
They're the
sake.
last
No.
ones up.
Yep.
You know, then the effects lines are run down, then we're all told to get out of the way, the cameras get set up, lighting gets set up, sound gets set up, whatever they need.
High-speed camera and
Bang! All right,
All
we're
right.
gonna do this angle now.
it's due again.
Mold, paint
Oh,
guy,
wow.
All right.
Wow.
Chris.
That's
It was the same
wild.
thing. It was the same thing too on X-Men, the first movie. The
Yes.
scene where
Wait.
catches Cyclops' visor.
Spotlight them, please. For this
The
next
scene
one.
where Toad snatches Cyclops' visor and he blasts the ceiling out of the train station. But we had to make a miniature version of the train station interior.
Oh, wow.
And rather than explosives, because there wasn't, the Cyclops' blast doesn't blow things up; it just pushes
Oh,
things
we
out.
have a special
Special
guest.
Hi,
If that-
Mr. Kitty.
Our new
Aw.
supervisor's arrived. So we built this
Nice.
miniature scale model of the interior of the train station, and all the roof and everything had to be rebuilt multiple times. Same process that Christina was just describing for the hotel, but instead of actual explosive charges, we had little cable releases and bungee cords to rip the entire contents of the ceiling up into the studio.
Wow.
And that was shot and reset about 4 or 5 times. That was
Yeah.
about a week in the studio, and I think that's the only credit we ever got on screen as part of the miniatures unit in the first X-Men movie. Everything else has been so much behind the scenes, part of crews, that we never actually ended up getting credit.
You know, and you have to
And it
think of the
shows,
effects
you know.
guys too. Like, I mean, this is one of the actual Cyclops visors. We don't. Very few people were gifted them, so we're blessed to have one of them.
How many were there?
Well, there was about 8 of these.
There's about 8 of those, the
There
non-closing
were-
versions.
2 that folded.
4 that folded.
4 that folded.
Yeah.
Okay.
There were
was 2 with the. Then it was 2 with the
2 with the lighting.
lighting
yeah.
inside.
A custom-made little curved, tiny fluorescent tube inside the window.
With the little generator in the ear, so he could
Creates a
hear
really
it buzzing at him.
high-pitched little whining noise in his ear.
So you have to think of that. There's a scene where they take, where it's taken off and folded in, but this is too fragile. It's even more fragile now. We don't even let other people hold it
Well,
anymore.
it's 25 years old. Yeah, that's 25 years old.
To get this to be able to slide on his head, I can't even get it on now. I used to be able to. To get this to slide on his head, a plastic and a rubber compound had to be mixed together.
Mm.
So there's enough flexibility. So over the year, the rubber has stiffened up.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
it can no longer flex like it used to.
Mm.
So it's not going anywhere. And we've re-glued the ear cups. So you can see the ear cup design was made for hinges,
Yeah.
which is why it's kind of weak, right?
Mm.
Did you
But
get
the hinge ones you can't hold like this because they're just close.
right? Did you get to interact with the actors on X-Men?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
We don't.
When we're working in a shop, it's usually the on-set props people that do all the interactions. So they'll come, they'll pick up the props. If there's something really, really special or really unique that requires a specialist on set, then yeah, they'll call one of us in to do that sort of thing.
And a
So
lot of us know each other, and to a point where you have a rap party or a promo or whatever, and then you're all.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well-
Stargate became a family.
Yeah. Amanda wanted to know how Hugh Jackman was.
Sorry, say
Hugh
again.
Jackman was. I don't think we actually worked with Hugh on any of that.
Yeah.
No, we worked.
No.
We worked with
James.
James.
Yeah, I was going to ask about James.
Oh, you
He's
were?
nice. He's really nice.
Sweetheart. Serious sweetheart. One of the things now that we have our own little shop, because it's not retirement. Artists never retire.
No.
We die doing something stupid every time.
So,
But
got-
we've now got a scrapbook section of our
On our coffee shop.
Kofi shop, and we're doing scrapbook stories. And one of the scrapbook
Nice.
sets is things like little autographs and set stories, because one of the sets is all little. I'm digging out prop pictures left, right, and center. Half of them I don't even remember what it was for. There's a bunch we're looking at going, was that in India or was that a
Racking our brains. What show
was
was
that a game?
from?
Was that live? Was that forget it.
Did you
You know,
ever
we
work with Richard Dean Anderson?
A couple of times, yeah. Worked with him a couple of times on set. In the 200th episode, when they finally revealed the furlings,
Yeah.
they talk about the furlings during the show, like throughout the course of the show, and they finally reveal the furlings themselves. I ended up being one of the puppeteers on set for the masks, which were all animatronic. The eyes and the ears moved and everything. So I interacted with some of the cast there. And at the wrap parties.
The 200th was hard.
The
wrap party.
The wrap party for the 200th
because that's
episode, yeah.
The producers were late. And this is the first wrap party we had where, like, everything with the props and stuff from the show were set up in cases and massive cake. They did white chocolate of Atlantis.
The city itself.
The city itself.
Nice.
Wow.
And it was and then they put another cake, a chocolate cake in front with the happy 200th, and that's what they cut into, because I wouldn't even try cutting into the Atlantis cake. That was just like it was a freaking masterpiece, and it was all like white chocolate. It was just like, oh wow.
Nice.
Now, did you work on all the Stargates?
All three shows from season 9 and 10 of SG1 and right through Atlantis and the 2 seasons of SGU.
And the and the Ark of Truth, the Ark of Lies,
and the two movies during season.
Behind the scenes,
10,
they kept changing their minds on everything. On the Ark of Truth, they just
the signature prop, the Ark itself. The drawings didn't come in until about a week before it was due to be on camera. So we had to build the signature prop for the movie in a week.
Wow.
So we started calling it the Ark of Lies because it was just. But no, at the party, the hardest thing with RDA was that the producers were late. And no one could understand why, because this was the biggest wrap party they'd ever had, and it was just like amazing.
200 episodes. That's a milestone.
And the other producers showed up without RDA, and we were like, "Where's RDA?" And he eventually showed up. He looked like he'd been crying, and his wife was with him, and she was, we had heard rumors that it was all going to end, but. They were rumors. You never tell your crew at all. You never tell them you're continuing or not continuing. You never do.
No.
Because they will go find another job right away. And you will be losing people before you're even done shooting. Because everyone hates the gap.
Yeah.
So you keep it a secret. But the rumors had already started, and it was just... He looked devastated, and that's when we all knew, oh, God, no. And he went up and he got with the other producers. Look, 200th episode, 10 years, longest American series, science fiction series, blah, 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 blah. He did his spiel. He was there to cut the cake. The main cast got their pictures taken, and then he disappeared again. Like, just right away, he didn't hang around like he normally does. And his wife came back in a little while later alone, whispered something in one of the other producers' ears, and left, and we didn't see him the rest of the night. And we knew. Yeah. We knew that he was devastated that this is the way it had to go.
Yeah. It's always devastating, even for us fans, when something gets canceled.
Well, it was hard for us because, there were 9 of us. There were 9 key people in the shop. And... even then, I was a secondary. Martin was a key, and I was a secondary. But it just, we went on holidays together. We
went to movies together. We all had the same schedule.
Well, it's also a lot easier when you go to a movie you've been working on, because the shop also did other stuff when it wasn't working on Stargate. You go to a movie you're all working on, and you've got like half a row of people going, you know, that looks crap on camera. Let's blame the lighting guys, you know.
Exactly, yeah.
And it just, you know, and it's not a friend next to you going, will you shut up and stop that? Because it's someone else who's agreeing with you, you know. It's just,
Might get a couple of shushes from the other row.
Yeah, don't
We've
sit
taken up an
behind us.
entire row of the theater, you know.
it's like Godzilla,
Yeah,
Yeah.
we all see Godzilla together after
you
working
know.
on the,
After
on the
working
film,
on it,
right?
it was just like, oh, that didn't show the way we expected it to. Hey, where's the
Yeah.
piece we spent like 3 weeks on?
I know.
It
Yeah.
didn't make the cut. Oh crap!
Well, that's okay. I was just in a movie, and most of my footage ended up on the cutting room floor. So,
Yeah.
um,
Worst thing about Godzilla is I never got Big G's autograph. He never showed up at the
I
wrap
know.
party, and
Damn it!
yeah, well, you know, he might have had trouble fitting through
Such
the
a-
door, but
Oh.
yeah,
He had a hard time flying in from China or Japan or wherever he's from.
yeah. Well,
long walk across the Pacific too.
What is it,
You know?
Godzilla versus the U.S. or something like that?
No, Godzilla
Well-
versus Bryan Cranston.
But that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go, Bryan
But
Cranston.
imagine this: most of us had black SUVs. Okay, so you
Which
know
is
the
a
big
thing,
bomb
you know?
that goes on the train across country. Okay,
right.
We had 2 of those in the loading bay area because it was the most room we could completely assemble to make sure everything was okay.
Mm-hmm.
We had a black SUV. The head of the shop had a black SUV. The key prop maker had a black SUV. And
Master.
the prop master, who was in that day with us, making sure that we had everything together to send out when he was ready for it, had a black SUV. And we had the doors open, the bay doors open for ventilation. So there's this massive bomb.
Oh.
Oh.
Very accurate thermonuclear device parked in the loading bay.
With 4 black SUVs.
It looked like some kind
It
of
was like,
military.
Yeah.
We showed up and we're like, oh, really?
And especially with the snafu on Vancouver Island, because they were shooting some of the stuff with the train on Vancouver Island. So they had these 2 thermonuclear rockets on a flatbed train car going through the countryside and on the island, and they didn't get enough information out to the local residents that this movie being shot. So there was suddenly this panic amongst all the local communities. It's like, why is the military transporting these 2, nuclear missiles through our area? What's going on? They were
They were having a blast.
military. They were
Literally,
and they were basically big hollow aluminum tubes sitting on the back of a truck.
Well, that was part of the problem with BC too, is things are so widespread apart, right? It's hard to get the information out because you need to let everyone know like the week before. And people either forget or you don't get everyone because it's so much. Once you get to a certain point, so much is so spread apart.
Well,
I mean, trying to function in this industry without a car is impossible. We had 2 vehicles back in the day because we had to. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, for example, and they both had the sticker in the window. We had, when we had the one, when we just had the tracker, Martin knows where I'm going.
Speaking about forgetting.
Speaking about forgetting. The notification came through the door a week ahead of time because right behind where we were living, there's a little piece of park that looks like a small forest. And it's got a nice little stream. Yeah, it's a ravine. It's got a nice little stream for it. So they can do shooting there, and it's really, really easy because they're not disturbed. And it's just a couple residential areas around there, and they're not very big, and there's a good-sized park next to it. So it was a prime little spot, and it's just down a few blocks away from the studio. So whenever they quickly needed something that happens in a forest or a ravine, that's where they go. And they don't have to really tell us unless they're making noise. And we usually do because we're working on the same show, right? So the message came through a week ahead of time. A letter was dropped in the door, and I'm like, they don't do this because, like, they don't need to. And it said, okay, we're going to be firing off weapons. They're fake. Don't worry. There's no actual rounds. They'll sound real. And it'll be at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, I was on an overnight shoot for a different production elsewhere.
Mm.
So I had the car. Martin was in the shop. So for him, it was an easy transit. Now, the plan was, because I'm on an overnight shoot, I'll go get like 4 hours sleep, 5 hours sleep, because he's not getting out of the shop until like 6. So, I'll get back anywhere between 7 and 9. And, I'll get some sleep and I'll go get him. And then I'll try to, over the next 3 days, go back to a day schedule. I got back, I was exhausted. Now remember, my car has the Stargate stickers
Little parking
that say
sticker,
we're
right?
crew in the front window. I pull up, I go inside, I'm walking numb, I hit the bed,
Dead to the world.
I'm gone. I don't even think I remembered to brush my teeth. I was that tired. I'm lucky I made it home. 7:30 comes, 7:30, 8 o'clock comes. So I've been asleep for about half an hour. And suddenly there's gunfire.
Oh.
And I'm still in a sleep state.
Oh.
And it sounds like it's in my bedroom.
Oh my gosh.
I suddenly roll off the bed and roll under the bed because my half asleep brain thinks it's real.
Oh.
Wow.
And I'm like lying under the bed trying to come completely conscious, and my brain's like, oh crap. Right. I forgot. Shoot. Okay, block the ears. Block the ears. I'm gonna try to, put pillows on the other side. I gotta get some sleep. So I just do my best because they did send it out. I just forgot. And then I hear my doorbell.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh God, okay.
Yeah.
Put a bathrobe on and walk up to the front door, open the door. It's one of the PAs. And he's standing there and he's like, oh, I'm so sorry, ma'am. We're not supposed to park in other people's driveways. I'll get someone to remove the car right away. I'll find out whose car that is. It's mine. What department? Props. You live here? Yes. Oh, are you on set today? No, my partner is in the shop today, and I did an overnight last night. Oh, then I won't get anyone to move the car. Good idea.
I hope not.
Close, lock. Screw this. I'm gonna get an air mattress and go to sleep in the basement. So that's what I wound up doing, is going to sleep in the basement as far away from all of these sounds as possible.
Very cool.
Then I get in the car. Still didn't get enough sleep because of all this. I go to pick him up. I pull into the parking lot. I go into the passenger side. I text him, I'm not coming in. I lay
Come out
back,
when you're ready.
try to get a little more sleep.
Boom.
The shop boss shows up, knocks on the window, and I'm like, oh. I roll it down. I'm like, what? And Gord looks at me and goes, oh, just seeing if you're awake. Martin told you.
Oh.
Yeah, Martin told me. Shut up. Go away. Jump off
They
a
woke you
cliff.
up. They woke you up, didn't they? Boy, did they ever!
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That was a cool
you,
story.
you get times like this where you're just like,
Yeah. So, Martin, you worked on one of my favorite shows, Legends of Tomorrow, and you worked with Brandon Ruth, helping him put
Yes.
the Atom costume
The
on.
Atom suit, yes.
now that's a man we made friends with.
That's yeah.
Nice.
Superman
We
5.
actually haven't communicated with him much lately, but
No,
he's busy with his
that's
stuff.
usually what happens.
All right,
You can see it.
Mike, give them the screen. Yeah. Okay. There
Wow.
Nice.
we go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Signature.
This one was gifted. Try and get it on camera there.
Martin wound up being his dresser on set for a while.
Wow.
Wow.
Very nice.
So the shop that I was working out of at the time was, when we got the contract to build the suit, it took about 6 months of R&D 3D modeling, doing body scans of Brandon so we could get his 3D model into the computer and build the suit around him. And lots of test fittings and machining and vacuum forming parts. And
there's a 3D
stuff.
casting of him in the shop.
3D, yeah, the full
Thump.
3D
Pitter patter.
yeah, so about 6 months of that.
The boss
R&D.
is back.
Oh, the boss is
And,
back.
the boss is back. Oh, yeah.
Are we doing a good job?
He probably wants to get fed, so
That's okay. You can
so we built 3 suits. The first suit actually came in at about $250,000 when all was said and done.
Oh.
Whoa.
Between all the R&D, there was multiple departments involved. Right, there was props who hired our shop to do the building. There was costumes because they did all the soft parts of the suit, like the undersuit itself. And effects was part of it because they had to make sure that there were points on the suit that they could lift him and harness him and everything else. And lighting was involved because we had a remote controlled lighting that they could operate from the console, from the lighting console, to be able to turn on his visor or the any of the lights on the suit. So all these departments had to coordinate to get this thing together. So that first suit was like $250,000. There were 2 other suits built. One was a backup suit, and one was for the stunt double. And each of those was about $50,000 or $60,000 worth.
Wow.
They were all given their own very specialized cabinets that they traveled in with all the parts and everything, and tools and hardware and spare pieces.
And one of the
all this
stunt
sort of
ones
stuff.
was modified enough that it fit his stunt double better.
Mhm.
Because as much as they're alike, they're slightly different.
Yeah.
So one of them had to be, the stunt one had to be tweaked
Yeah.
so he could move just as well. We've got
Legs
some,
or arms were a little different.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. So that created another mold that had to wind up in the shop and to work off of and to test with. But it's the dressing part. The number of times I came to set and Martin would be sitting in the corner and he'd be just like, Brandon, sit still.
it's like trying to put a snowsuit on a 5-year-old.
Wow.
In a good way though, because he's either texting with his agent or he's reviewing his script notes, his script lines, just to make sure he's got his lines straight for the upcoming scene, or he's doing whatever, or he is having a last bit of food before going on the set.
Right.
And he always wants to make sure that he's in minimal costume until they actually call him. There was one time he chewed out the director because the director called us all to set. So I had to get him fully in the gauntlets, the shoulder pads, the helmet, the body armor, and everything, head to toe. And we walked him over to set on this location, this little farmhouse. And the director wasn't ready yet. He's like, "Oh no, we still got some time before we're just lining up the shot right now. We're gonna get lighting in here to move a few things." And Brandon he nudged me. He said, "Can you take my helmet off?" And yeah, sure. He just tore the director.
Oh, wow.
Please, this suit, as awesome as it is, it's not the most comfortable thing to be in. It's cold out here right now. I would like to sit in my prep tent and be called when you actually need me on set. You can use my body double to block the shot or whatever and do all of that, but please. And we walked back and we said, "I can't believe this guy." This was a new director apparently that hadn't worked with Brandon and with the Atom suit before. And we were conversing on the way back to the tent. He's like, "I just can't believe this guy. This has been like every time I've been up, he hasn't been ready for the shots." And but he rolled with it. He did the best he could, and he was always very patient and very gracious. Great guy to work with. And we
Very
went
accessible to the fans.
Very accessible to the fans.
That's
We
always
went
good.
to Fan Expo Vancouver. He was a guest there. We were just there to hang out. We weren't there in any professional capacity or anything. And we were walking past the autograph area, and he was there signing. And he looked up and he saw us at the end of the line. He held the line. He said, and immediately called out to us.
Cool.
And he stopped. He
Nice.
posed for pictures with us.
Asked us how we were doing.
Chatted with us for a little bit. Meanwhile, his lineup is sitting there kind of waiting.
Yeah.
It was kind of a great feeling to have him.
Yeah. Well, I hate to cut you guys off, but we're less than a minute left. So
Awesome.
I want to thank Martin and Christina for being our guests today, and I hope you'll come back soon and tell us more great stories. So
We'd love to.
This isn't
We'd love
enough
to.
time, dude.
Every panel we always run out of time.
I know. We're always getting kicked out by the next panelist.
well, yeah, and I want to thank my team here: Stacy, Amanda, Dave, and Ann, and of course Mike and Richard. So, how much we got?
I just turned it off.
Okay, fade to black.
Hey, good luck.
Fine.